Hey everyone, welcome to Rockin for God with Lisa Marie Nicole. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you guys are having a blessed weekend. We're having a little bit of rain and some thunder right now in Florida, but hopefully, God willing, it's going to pass. I just want to thank everyone for watching my show every week, and it's been a blessing to be able to bring this show to you. And Rockin for God is sponsored by the Four Persons Network and LisaMarieNicole.com. I just want to say a couple of things real quick. I just recorded a new song yesterday, which will be released on September 23rd. It's called Jesus Infinite Love, and it is a Christian blues song. I'm very excited about this. And the video is going to be a live video shot. I'm not going to tell anybody how I'm doing it because it's going to be a surprise. But just wait for that in a couple of months. The song will be released on September 23rd on all streaming sites. And also, don't forget my 2-year anniversary celebration will be on October 5th. From 4 to 7 p.m. It's a 3-hour show. We'll be live right here. I have tons of artists coming on, and it's going to be a blessed day. So just make sure you guys don't miss that. And don't stick around for the end of the show. I'm going to have 2 of this week's Spotlight dogs from Open Hands Animal Rescue. So stick around and watch that. I'll be right back. I know you care, God. Sometimes I feel alone, even when I'm not. All the troubles in the world, I think. Hey everyone, I'm back. I have a wonderful show for you today. I have a very good friend of mine coming on. He was actually my first guest when I started this show with Blog Talk Radio 2 years ago with John Benko, and I decided to start this. So let me bring him on and let him introduce himself. Hello, Deacon.
Hey, Lisa Marie, it's so great to see you again. This is awesome.
I know,
glad
I'm
to be
so
back
glad.
on with you.
Yes, I'm so glad. I'm so blessed that you're back on. Just for people that don't know who you are, just tell everybody who you are, where you're from, please.
Yeah, just quickly, I'm Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers. I'm a deacon in Archdiocese of Portland in Oregon. I've been ordained a deacon now in November, it'll be 23 years. And I'm a full-time Catholic speaker and author and pilgrimage leader and everything else too. I'm doing a bunch of stuff at EWTN, and this year is my 20th year being with EWTN. I have 9 television series. I have my second radio show. It's called Beacon of Truth, which is on Monday through Friday on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. And as I travel all over the world, been to 8 countries this year, and 6 books, and I'm working on the 7th one right now. So just a lot of stuff going on. But you know how we met. You know, we've been friends way before you even had this show, way before you were doing.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, you were. I mean, and we hit it off right away. Why? Because we're both from Jersey, man. Come on now.
Of course,
Jersey in the house.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I was working in liturgy, and we were looking for speakers to come to the church, and I remember I contacted you, and you came out there, and we picked you up at the airport. Yep. You met me and my husband. We were like a little iffy at first, you know, and they were like, once we found out we were all from Jersey, we were like, bang, we all hit it off. That was it, and then we just became friends after that, and I was kind of upset that you lived so far away. You know, we could hang out and everything. Went out to some good restaurants.
Yep.
And everything. So we had a good time. And of course, you did an unbelievable job with your speaking at the churches. If anybody needs a speaker, you got to get him, because he's incredible. He knows everything, what to say. And I know that a lot of stuff you concentrate on is with the family. It's with the family and marriage, right? You still working on that?
Yeah. Marriage, family, male spirituality, sacraments. Just I have about 22 or 23 different topics that I talk about. So yeah, lots. I'm kind of a generalist, you know. I like to keep things interesting. So I learn a lot about a lot of different aspects of the Catholic faith and able to share that with people in person.
That's great. I want to ask you a question real quick.
Mhm.
You were my first guest 2 years ago on October 3rd. I'll never forget that. You were I did my own show first to introduce myself, which I plan on doing again. And then I was so excited that you decided to be my first guest. So, I know everything we talked about back then. What if you want to give like a short, like well, you already said who you were, like you don't have to do a description of who
Well,
you are, but
yeah. Why don't
what
we?
have you done since then? What have you
Yeah.
done
Why
with
don't
your
we?
life?
Why don't we tie in a little bit about the music piece too? So,
Hmm.
because that's another thing that connects us.
Yes.
So, my father, I was born in Barbados in the West
Hmm.
Indies in the Caribbean. My father was a professional singer and songwriter and touring musician. So, music runs in our blood, in our
Hmm.
family. All my siblings are musicians. I am a guitar player. I played jazz in the jazz guitar at college, and also in a funk and R&B band as well. I still play. Not I don't play nearly as much because I'm traveling so
You
much
do?
now.
That's cool.
Uh, yeah, but I have my I still have two of my guitars left. I still have my effects board and my amp, and so I just
Oh, wow.
noodle around, play around. I don't play serious like I once did, but I also sing. I was in the choir
Yeah.
both in grade school and in high school. I was in the gospel choir in high school, and also Voices of Faith gospel ensemble at the University of Notre Dame. That's where I went to college, so I was in that as well. So I sing and so music has been an integral part of my life for forever. I mean, I can't remember a time in my life where music wasn't a part of it. And the best part is that my wife is also a musician. She played the flute in the Oregon Youth Symphony, and then all my kids sing and play instruments.
Wow.
So yeah, just this music has been such a huge part of my life for so long, which is another reason why I think we clicked. Not only from New Jersey, not only the Catholic faith, but also the musical piece as well. So
Yes.
it's just a wonderful way to really and we use music all the time on our show. When we come back from our breaks, we have the bumper music. And my producer is also a professional musician and songwriter. So we talk about music quite a bit on our show, and people seem to really enjoy that. In fact, we have Beacon of Truth playlist episodes where well, we can't play the song because of copyright, but we'll go through the lyrics of a song and look at it from a Christian perspective. So we looked at like
Wow.
Stairway to Heaven and songs like that, and look at it from kind of a faith perspective. And so
Well, I
yeah,
sent you
music is
some of my music. I sent you some of my music too.
yeah, we'll have to have you on for sure and talk about what you're doing, because what you're doing is amazing. I mean, what God was able and is still accomplishing through you from the first time we met till now is just. But I knew it. I mean, I knew from the first time I heard you sing that this is just a matter of time before you blow up. I mean, it's just because your music, for me, your music really hits the heart, right? I mean, it really touches something inside of you, which I think is why it's so popular and connects with so many people. They don't just hear your music, they feel your music. They experience the love of Christ when they listen to a Lisa Marie Nicole song. I think
Thank
that's what makes you so special. And that's rare to be able to connect to people at that level. And the beautiful part is you're not using a lot of AI. Right? That's a whole other
you. Never
issue.
will.
The whole AI. Me either.
Mm-mm.
Like when you like, so if I'm writing a book, so just go to AI and just have AI. No, 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 no. Because what happens to human creativity
Hmm.
and imagination and talent? I mean,
That's
you can
right.
have AI write a song, but you can never perform it because you can't play, you can't
Yep.
sing. That's I mean, anyway, I can go on about AI. I'm not a huge AI fan, except using it as a tool, like a tool in a toolbox, but not using it as a replacement for ingenuity and imagination and creativity.
No, not
That's
with
so
that
much
in
a part of the
mind.
human experience. Yeah.
No. I mean, you can use it to touch up your bags under your eyes and change your hair color if you want. I mean, I've been known to do that, but but you can't make it too bad because if somebody sees you, they're like, "That's not what you look like in your picture."
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I understand. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't know if you know, but a lot of play streaming sites are kicking people off of the sites that use AI. They detect it and they throw you off. And,
Good.
I refuse to use it. I know there's some some producers that do, but with certain things. But to actually, like you said, to actually create the song, and you could put lyrics in there and AI would make a whole song for you.
Yeah.
I tried it once just to fool around with it, just to see what it would do. And I wrote something and I put it in there and it was nothing with emotion in it. It was like they were
Yeah.
correcting everything I said. And I like to like misspell things sometimes when I'm like, or I'll do a Jersey lingo type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I won't say want to, I'll say I wanna, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
There
that's
you
not
go.
a word. That's not a word. So I understand what you're saying, but I'm in the middle of writing a book right now also, and it's a very, very spiritual book that I'm working on. And I know I could very easily put this into AI and say, write this for me,
Yeah.
but they can never do what is in my head that I want to write. So I would never, never do that.
Or in your heart. I mean,
Well,
because
that's what it is. It's your heart.
it's just algorithms, and I mean, it has no heart. It's just pulling information from databases and data sources. But where's the heart? Where's the imagination? Thinking
Emotion.
outside of the box. The Like you said, the Jersey isms. All those things are missing.
Yep.
And if we rely too, I'm not saying that we shouldn't use it. I mean, like I said, as a tool, but we can't rely on it to replace, because we lose our humanity. If we
Yep.
use the technology like that, then we lose our humanity. And that's something we need to be very just cognizant of.
It's true. Do you have a question that you'd like to answer right now first from Brian?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. I know I sent you the question. Let me see if I can get it.
Let me see if I can, because I just had it. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So you
You
sent
have
it to
it?
me. It says, the question is, can you explain the fall in the garden as a liturgical failure in worship? So that was the question. The fall in the garden as a failure in worship. Okay. So now, normally, when you think of the fall in the garden, you wouldn't think of it as worship, right? You wouldn't think of the situation in Adam and Garden of Eden as a worship situation. But let's take a closer look at that. So first of all, we know that God created us out of nothing. We exist because of an overflow of God's love. God couldn't keep the love within himself to himself. So that love is, because love doesn't, it has to be shared. So he was already sharing that love between the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, the continual flow of love and life and intimacy and communion between Father, Son, and Holy Spirit from all eternity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that love spilled out into the universe and creates everything that exists, including, it says in Genesis 1:27, man, male and female, he created them in Hebrew, zakar unibekwa bara otam. Male and female, he created them. Two genders, two, not 30, two. Um, and that love between the husband and the wife is in covenant relationship with God is so powerful and so real that itself gives life, gives birth to a third, which are children, which imitates. So the family on earth is the image and likeness of the family of heaven. So Trinity in heaven, and of course, in a very humid and limited way, a Trinitarian life on earth. So and so we were living in harmony with God until the fall. So in the garden, we see this in Revelation, actually Revelation 19. There's a battle in heaven. Satan, who most likely was a cherubim or a seraphim. Those are the angels that serve closest to the throne of God.
Mm-hmm.
It says that he was cast out, exorkizo in Greek. Revelation 19 says Michael the archangel and the other archangels casted him out, and he said he went to earth. And so
Mm-hmm.
what's the first thing the devil does? He tries to destroy covenant relationship with God.
Yep.
He tries to destroy. So he lies to the woman, and he goes after the woman first, by the way. Why? Because a woman is the very heart of God's love. She is a life giver and a life bearer. Even if she never has a child, by the very nature of how God created a woman, she can participate in the, or has the potential to participate in the life-giving power of God in a way that we men can never fully understand or appreciate. And because she is the one who brings forth life, Satan, who's the author of death, goes after the one who brings forth life. And the husband's job was to serve, protect, and defend her, which he didn't do. So that's basically the one aspect of the fall, where our first parents chose themselves and their will over uniting their wills with God's will. Because when your will and God's will are in communion, now you're truly free to become the person who God created you to be. When they said no to that God's invitation to love, life, intimacy, and communion, they chose themselves over God, and that led to death. And the word in Hebrew there is death, mavet. Doesn't mean just physical death. It means to cut yourself off
Spiritual death
from God's life. To cut yourself off from God's life. So that's the one dimension. So when we talk about worship, so here's the thing, kind of with music again. Some people say, okay, I go to church for praise and worship. Okay, now hold on. When you say praise and worship, what do you mean? Because worship always, technically, worship always involves sacrifice.
Yes.
Worship, true worship, authentic worship, biblically based worship always involves sacrifice, right? So which is what we have in the holy sacrifice of Mass, which is praise, literal praise and worship. Okay, so in the relationship between humanity and God, not only was a covenant relationship, it's a covenant relationship in worship and sacrifice, right? So what was the sacrifice? God extended the invitation to share life with him, and our response to that, the relationship of love, life, intimacy, communion, is to say yes to God, to open our hearts to receive deeply everything that God wants to give us. And that exchange of love, life, intimacy, communion between us and God is worship. So when they entered into the fall, they broke that relationship of worship and became instead slaves to sin, which brought sin and death into the world, which is why Jesus had to come and die. Why did Jesus have to die? Why could he just come and teach nice things? Because Jesus had to die to show that even the worst effect of sin, which is death, cutting yourself off from God, not even that is more powerful than God's mercy and God's love. And that's why Jesus came to earth, and that's why he had to die. So that's why we shouldn't be afraid of death. And when he died and rose from the dead, he restored the door that was open to worship, to reconnect, and to religion. It comes from ligion in Greek, means ligament. That's the it means to join. Like, for example, the ligament is what joins your tendons to your muscle, is joined by a ligament. So to religion means to rejoin, reestablish that relationship of covenant, intimacy, love, and worship between us and God. So I hope that answers the question.
I'm sure that did, Brian. It answered the question for you. I have another question for you, and I have a question I want to ask you. I want to make sure I get all this in, but I'm going to take a break for 1 second and play this video real quick. This is my song, Beautiful. Resurrection of the Life, the video. He hasn't heard it yet, and he is one of my biggest critics and helps me with these songs. So I want to see what he thinks of this. So this is Resurrection of the Life.
Nothing would help. I couldn't be consoled. I heard his still voice. I thought it was the wind. I closed my eyes. It came from deep within. And this is what it said. I am the resurrection and the life. I came
their depths of despair. Worldly powers can't touch one of their hairs. I am a supernatural food to eat each day. Many will hear this and walk away. I introduce your humanity into the life of the Trinity, so you can live with me in a heavenly infinity.
I am the resurrection and the life. I came to heal you from pain and strife. Fear not, my child, I'm the only way, and I will raise you up on the last day. I will descend with the cry of command, with archangels call who can stand. All that died in me will rise first. They died in baptism, they were summoned. Resurrection and the life. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I came to bring you out of darkness into light.
Ah, that's awesome. That's okay. Let me give you my thoughts. Oh man, where to start? First of all, right as we're recording this, we are in the Jubilee year of hope, right? And that is a song that will give people hope. So many people, when they're going through something difficult, when they're going through something hard, they forget that God is. They try to find worldly ways to try to alleviate the pain, alleviate the suffering, or even worse, they get into addictive behaviors, or so it's drinking or porn or drugs or something like that to mask and cover the pain because they don't want to deal with whatever's going on. And so there's different ways that people lose hope. But a song like this, it really, like I said, it penetrates into you and really lifts you up and brings you that hope. So the music, the upbeatness of the music, the guitar riff that is throughout the song, almost adding another layer, like another voice, to the music in there. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is, I tell you, I travel all around the world, 357,000 miles this year. 257,000 miles this year traveling.
Wow.
And one thing I notice is how much people don't know how much God loves them. They don't know. They really don't know the awesome power of God's love working in their life. They've not experienced it. So again, a song like this not only brings people hope, but also will help them to experience the power of God's love. Because when they hear your lyrics, again, simple, punchy, powerful, to the point, to the heart, and that's what people don't want to be placated. They don't want to be fooled. They don't want to be talked down to. You speak directly to the heart. And the third aspect is your integration of scripture. Because a lot of the lyrics and even that part where that had the voiceover,
Voice of God. That was the voice of
God. Okay, the voice of God, again, scriptural. So people are now, when they hear these scriptures now, they're not just, oh, there's another scripture. No. They're hearing the scriptures in light of your song, and now they're incorporating it more deeply into their own lived experience. So, I mean, that's just home run.
Your brother always helps me with that when I need help. So I can't take credit for everything. But
the thing is, Lisa, I mean, you guys are one flesh.
Yeah.
You and Brian are one. So yeah, I mean, it's not a matter of taking credit. The both of you act as one, and that's the beautiful part. So when you write these songs, you're out there, you're the face, but you can, Brian is also part of that heart. Why? Because your hearts are one, because you're in that. As a married couple, you share in that covenant relationship with God. And that's a beautiful thing.
I'm glad you liked it. Thanks. And I'm going to send you're going to like the next one even more. I'm going to send you that one.
All right.
But
can't wait.
Let me get to this. John Benko from the Four Persons said, today we had the canonization of our first millennial saint. What do you think that means for the church going forward?
Oh, I think that's an incredible blessing. In fact, we've had so our first actually two, first millennial saint. There was two today. So Pier Giorgio
Right.
Frassati, who was
Yeah.
born at like 1901 or something like that. He's born in the very beginning of the 20th century. Um, who died, I think he was 24 years old or 25 when he died, as a young adult. And of course, Carlos Acutis, who was born in like 1991. I mean, so talk about contemporary,
He's
right?
a
And use
baby.
the internet, use technology in order to really make people aware of Eucharistic miracles and the presence of Christ, body, blood, soul, divinity in the Eucharist. And so, man, imagine a teenager today saying, wow, someone like me is a saint in the Catholic Church. Now, there have been child saints before, Saint Maria Goretti and
Yeah.
many, many others as well. But for today's society, 21st century, to have a saint that wore sneakers. In fact, and when you see his body in Assisi, he's buried with sneakers on. So I mean,
Yeah.
to have a saint that young people today in this technological age can identify with, can say, wow, there's someone that's my age that I can relate to, that I can identify with in this culture today, a voice that cuts through all of the darkness, all of the relativism, all of the subjective individualism, all of the social media stuff,
Yeah.
where a lot of young people are worshiping the God of me, myself, and I. Here's this teenage saint, that cuts through all of that and is able to speak to young people today in a voice and in a way that young people want to hear the gospel being proclaimed. So I think that's a tremendous boost for the church, and I think a great lift that we need moving forward. And hopefully, it will inspire more young people to
For
live
the youth.
lives of holiness.
Yeah, that must be. He's probably getting a lot of prayers right now from a lot of young people.
That's
He's
true.
probably like, no. So everybody's praying to him today. That's great, though. By the way, my mom said to say hi.
Oh, wonderful!
Um,
Oh,
yeah,
thank
I
you.
got some people on here now. If anybody has any questions, just put it in the comments there. And I want to get to a question. So
Sure.
I know the world is talking about prayer right now, if it works or not. You know what I'm referring to. What could you say is a Catholic point of view as to how prayer works and how have most of your prayers been answered in this lifetime?
Yeah, see, that's a great question. Yeah, because we're living in a culture now that says that prayer is worthless because prayer doesn't produce anything.
Hmm.
Why? Because we live in a culture that says in order for something to be meaningful and real, it has to be tangible. That means you have to be able to see, taste, touch, measure, or quantify something. That makes it real. Prayer, what are you doing? According to the culture, you're just saying these words coming out of your mouth. You're praying to some magical God, supposed God in the sky, who's supposed to hear and answer your prayers like a genie or something like that. And that's not how it works at all. Remember,
Yeah.
the whole foundation in our relationship with God is about relationship. It's about intimate, personal, loving, and life giving communion. And the way that we express that love is through prayer. Because prayer simply, what is it at its very core, its very heart, is talking with God. So, for example, Lisa Marie, when you first met Brian, I mean, did you read about him in a book or in a magazine and said, oh, I'm going to marry that guy because I read about him in a magazine or a book? No, you had to talk to him,
Uh-huh.
right? You had to because that experience of talking, getting to know each other is the way you deepen intimacy. And that's how we deepen intimacy with God, is through prayer. Okay. Now, part of the way that prayer effectively works for us as Catholics, we have to be quiet, right? Psalm 46 verse 11 says, be still and know that I am God. And the word there for know in Hebrew is yaudah. So yaudah means knowledge that is gained by experience. So you can translate that, be still and experience God in the stillness, in the silence, in the quiet. So Eucharistic adoration for us, for example, would be extremely important vehicle in order to facilitate an atmosphere of prayer, of silence, so we can block everything else out, all the distractions, and just be in the presence of God in the most blessed sacrament of the Eucharist, sharing our heart with him. That's really what prayer is. Now, God is not a genie. that will answer whatever prayer you ask for. But and why do I say that? It's important to say, because Jesus does say, ask and you will receive, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you. And in another place, Jesus says, whatever you ask of my Father will be given to you. Okay, so people read that and they think all I got to do is ask, and boom, I will get whatever I want. So if I want to win the lottery, win $1 billion, then I'm gonna win it because Jesus said,
I wrote a
ask, and it'll be
song
given to you. Okay, look. Here's the deal. God does answer prayer, but He answers those prayers that will bring us into closer union and intimacy with Him. Right. So God is always listening to, God is always hearing our prayers, and He does answer prayer, but not in the way that we expect, because He's doing it according to His will, right? And he will answer those prayers that will bring us to the deeper intimacy. So I'll give you an example. When I was discerning leaving my job, in fact, the experience happened in adoration. I'd had a law enforcement career. I had no intention of leaving my career to speak or to write books on the Catholic faith. I had an experience with God in Eucharistic adoration in 2011, where He said, I need you to, because I was an anti-terrorism expert. I was doing threat assessments. He said, I need you to do a different type of threat assessments for souls. And I said, nope. And God said, yes. I said, no. He said, yes. I said, Lord, I'm very comfortable where I am in my life right now. And God said to me interiorly in my heart, He directed my gaze to a crucifix in that chapel. And He said, if you want to take a relationship with me to the next level, you got to get uncomfortable. So I said, oh, here we go. And that started the journey. Now, my prayer ultimately became, whatever your will is, God. Now, I didn't want to leave my job. I'll just be honest. But I said, but ultimately, God, whatever you want is what I want. And so I ended up leaving my job in 2012 and speaking and writing full time since then. And for the past 13 years, it's been the best decision almost that I ever made, other than getting married to my beautiful, amazing wife. The best decision I ever made was leaving that job, because God has done more than I even imagined. It's just been absolutely incredible. And the same thing is true for you. Lisa, like I said, I knew you when, but I knew after hearing you that God was going to use you for His glory. Why? Because your music is never about Lisa Marie Nicole. It's about honoring God, right? Jesus says, love the Lord your God with all the Shema prayer. Love your Lord the God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. That's the form of intimacy that God calls us to. And that's what your music exemplifies. That's what my apostolate and my work in the Lord's vineyard, that's what we exemplify. It's not about us.
No.
And again, use the music analogy. We're just instruments. God is the musician, right? And so what all of us who are praying, we're just praying that God will use us in such a way, and according with His will, so that we can become fully the person who God created and calls each one of us to be. And that's how He answers our prayer, by allowing us to draw more intimately to His life. So when someone is sick and dying, please, Lord, please pray that they recover. Please pray that they be healed, right? We pray, and then they die. See, God, there is no God. God didn't answer my prayer. Hold on. What kind of healing are you talking about? That could have been a person who was on their way to hell.
That's true.
And at the moment of death, they said, Lord Jesus, and they a very heartfelt prayer at the moment of their death that you didn't hear. It was between them and God. And it said, God, I lived a life of disputation. I did the wrong things, but Lord, I'm begging you, just give me this last chance. And we're drawing on the unfathomable divine mercy of God. Right. So there's always hope for everyone, and prayer. So the more we enter into prayer here on earth, and unite our wills with God's will, and engage God deeply, heart to heart, in that relationship of love and communion, the better our chances are now of experiencing the power of God's love in our different talents and gifts that He has given to each one of us.
That's amazing. And Alice, Jamie, what you said, I never even thought of it that way.
See? Yep.
What you said about somebody dying and the person saying, "Oh, you didn't answer my prayer because they died," and the person could have been living in sin and going to hell, and then because they prayed, God could have answered that prayer.
And that's the healing.
That's amazing.
That's not the healing that the person expected. The person thought healing meant, oh, just get well, back on your feet again. No, the healing is, remember, we're just pilgrims on this earth. This is not our home. We're all living here in order to get there, to be with God forever. Where Carlos Acutis and Piers Giorgio Frassati, where they are, that's where we hope to be one day. And in that sense, Lisa Marie, we're more, those saints in heaven are more alive than we are.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean? But we said, wait a minute, Deacon, they're dead. Oh, they're dead physically, but they're more alive. Why? Because they're in the presence of God, where we all hope to be. What does Jesus say? I'm not the God of the dead. I'm the God of the living. There you go. That's it.
That's great. Yeah, well, I wrote a bunch of songs about praying, pray about everything, pray and say amen. I mean, I have a bunch of songs about praying, so I understand. And I have another question for you. What do you tell people that say God is not there? If he was, why would bad things happen to good people? How would you answer that?
Yeah. So here's the thing. There's such a thing as free will, right? In the Genesis, it says that he says to the man, "You may freely eat of every tree in the garden," right? So that's really, really, really important, because in this relationship of covenant intimacy, we're not puppets on a string. We're not marionettes where God is controlling us and like, okay, God, whatever you say, I'll do whatever you say, because that's not love. If it's not free, it's not love. So love that's freely given has to be freely reciprocated, or else it's not love. So God says, you may freely eat, right? And Jesus replicates this when he says, when he talks about dying on the cross, no one, I'm not committing suicide. No one takes my life from me. I give my life freely. That's right. It's a free gift, a free exchange of love, life, intimacy, communion. So what does that mean, Lisa Marie? We can say yes to God's invitation, or we are free to say no. We're free to say no, right? And so when we say no, that's when bad things happen, okay? And sometimes those bad things happen to good people. Mm-hmm. Why? Because if God, if a person was not allowed to say no, and sometimes that people that say no to God's love and God's life, they end up doing terrible things. Like the recent, like I said, at the time we're filming this is several weeks after that shooting in the Catholic church and school in Minnesota. When we have obviously historical references of Hitler and all that kind of stuff, and Stalin and all those guys as well. Mm-hmm. Well, why did God allow that to happen? Because those individuals had free will, and they used their free will to say no to God. Now, St. Thomas Aquinas teaches that God allows those things not because he wants it to happen, but through his permissive will. St. Thomas Aquinas says that God does not allow things to happen unless a greater good can come out of it. So God even uses people's free will decision to say no to him, that sometimes brings very negative repercussions in someone's life, and to bring a greater good out of it. I recently gave a retreat for deacons, and I heard one of the most powerful stories I've ever heard. Just a very short recount of it. Basically, this deacon's parents are retired. Two men broke into their house, didn't realize that they were home. They went in there to steal. And when they saw that they were there, they held his father at knife point, held a knife to his throat, while they took turns raping his mother.
Oh my God.
So, and if the father tried to look away or scream, they would stab him. And he was telling me, when his parents were recounting this, that the mother was watching the father while she was being raped, and she was forgiving the men that were doing this to her while it was happening. Meanwhile, the father was he was so angry, and so bitter with God for such a long time after that. So you would think it's just the opposite. You think
Yeah.
the wife would be the one that would need the healing, and the father. It's just no, the opposite. The
Wow.
wife was not okay with it, but she was able to deal with it because of her faith, and she was praying for the people who were hurting her, just like Jesus said to do. Like from the cross, he forgave the people that were killing him. It was the father who was there helpless. His job was to serve, protect, and defend. And through
Yeah.
no fault of his own, he couldn't do that. He felt helpless, like he couldn't help his wife, he couldn't help himself. And he was so angry with God for so many years. But it was through the healing ministry and through prayer of his son, the deacon, that helped his father finally begin the path to healing. And so, yeah, bad things happen to good people because God brings something greater out of it. Because his father was not a person of faith, and so now, through this
Wow.
experience, this father now is a person of faith. So so again, ultimately our goal is heaven. Sometimes bad things happen in order to move us in a direction that will get us toward our ultimate goal and destination, which is life with God forever in heaven.
That's great. That's a great story. I mean, I will pray for them because that's got to be hard to live with.
Yeah, that rocked me when he told me that. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, dude, what?
That's amazing.
And yeah.
I have a couple more questions to ask you if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Go
sure.
a little bit. All right.
Absolutely.
I just want to I want to get to a little bit personal with you so
Yeah,
people
sure.
know you.
Sure.
I know you've traveled and preached all over the world.
Mhm.
Where was your favorite place that you went to, and where is a place that you haven't been to yet that you want to go?
Yeah, great question. So I've been to 34 countries so far. And I think I've been to 8. Well, coming up in, next month will be 8 countries this year. But of all, I don't think I have a favorite. I think the place where impacted me the deepest was Papua New Guinea. I've been
Wow.
there twice. I was there 2 years ago, just after the pandemic, and this past July, I was there, and it was incredible. So first of all, the drive. So I was in Port Moresby, which is the capital city of the country,
Mm.
and then we flew to Mount Hagen, and then we drove 3 hours up to Mendi, which is in the Southern Highlands. So it's a mountainous region of Papua New Guinea. Uh, no cell phone, no Wi-Fi. We had
Huh.
electricity probably 5 or 6 hours a day.
Wow.
No paved roads. All right. So this place was probably easily the most remote and the most challenging place to preach. And I gave a priest retreat. 70 priests and 3 bishops were there for the. And I was with Charbel Raish, who I travel many. We've been to 10 countries together preaching. He's from Australia. He runs Perusia Media. And so we did this deacon's retreat. I also gave a talk for women and religious sisters while I was there. It was one of the most blessed weeks of my life.
It sounds like
It was just the people were just so humble. The faith was just so simple. It was beautiful. And I had no choice. I couldn't do any work because there's no way to access the internet. No, so away from the computer and to just be with people and to experience the faith in just a very, very powerful way was just it was moving. It was truly moving
Sounds like it.
experience. Yeah.
What about where do you want to go? Is there a place you
Oh
haven't?
yeah. So yeah, I would love to go to Vietnam. I've not
Wow.
been to Vietnam. Very strong Catholic history of Vietnam. In fact,
Yeah.
obviously, many parishes have Vietnamese communities. We're being served by many Vietnamese priests, as well as priests from the continent of Africa and India and the Philippines. But also Vietnamese. Half of my parish is Vietnamese.
Wow.
And we have a Vietnamese mass. So I would love to go to Vietnam one of these days. That's a
You
place
will.
and India as well. Those are the two, Vietnam and India.
That's
get
big because we have a lot of Indian priests. And I have a couple of friends of mine who are. They're real. That's a great place to go to. But
I'd
the
love to
Papua
get
New
there.
Guinea thing, they don't have everything that we have here, right? Those people
And
don't.
it's not like they're depressed. I never heard once anyone say, "Wow, I wish I had."
They don't miss it because they never
laptop."
had it.
Yeah, it's not just they don't know what they're missing. It's just the joy and the peace that they experience because they're not tied to the technology, because they don't have social media and all these other things that people get so lost in. They get just their time and attention is focused on deepening their relationship with God. It's just a very simple, beautiful way to live. And I, thanks be to God, I've been invited to come back. Charbel and I've been invited to come back next year
Oh,
to
great.
train 1,000 catechists in the
Wow.
country.
Good for you. God bless
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So we're gonna spend 2 weeks, 500 catechists in one part of the country, then 500 in another part of the country, and we're gonna give talks to several thousand people in the evening. So we're gonna give evening talks for the general population, but the talks during the day are gonna be for training catechists. So God is just opening the door. I'm just walking through.
That's incredible. You're really blessed. You've been so blessed over the years for what you're doing.
Yeah, and let me make sure I share this, Lisa Maria, because you and Brian both noticed this when I first came on, was the weight loss.
Yeah.
So let me just talk quickly about that. So just going to be a little bit just a little bit raw, a little bit honest here. Traveling as much as I do, you get out of a certain pattern for eating, right? So I'm different time zones, like every week, different part of the world every week. And so, it was eating, and it was getting to a destructive pattern, meaning I would say I would rationalize things like, you know what, I'm away from my family. I'm traveling all over the world. I'm writing these books. I deserve that piece of cheesecake.
Yeah.
I deserve that extra slice of cake or whatever, that kind of thing. And it got to a point, Lisa, I was over 300 pounds.
Wow.
I had to use the seatbelt extender on the plane, for the smaller planes and stuff. And I was like, and I just got to a point, I said, this is not good. So toward the end of last year, I went and saw my physician because I just said, look, I had to be humble enough to recognize I can't do this by myself. I need help.
Yeah.
I went to my physician and, she said, okay, before we do anything, let's do some tests. So we did a bunch of tests. And when the test results came back, it's okay. We think that you could benefit from a ketogenic way of eating. And I said, okay, I heard of keto, can you go to the details? So she would explain the detail what keto was. So to that, I added intermittent fasting, and I didn't add intermittent fasting just for the physical benefits. I mostly did it for the spiritual benefits of fasting. Because Jesus said, we hear the same reading every Ash Wednesday from Matthew's Gospel, the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus says, when you fast, not if, when you fast, because there's incredible spiritual benefits to fasting. Why? That hunger, that longing, that desire, that when you empty yourself of the food, it is a physical reminder that what you're really hungering and desiring is a deep relationship with God. When that desire is united with prayer, as we talked about earlier, prayer, fasting together, lights out. So intermittent fasting, and I started walking 5 to 7 miles a day.
Wow.
And then, so those three things, but then here's the thing that made the biggest difference of all. When I left my job in 2012, the first thing I did was consecrate my new work to the Blessed Virgin Mary. I did the St. Louis de Montfort 33-day consecration to Mary. And I realized that I didn't renew it. So all those years from 2012 until the end of last year, I didn't renew my commitment to the Blessed Mother, my Marian consecration. So I reconsecrated myself to Mary again. And the 33rd day ended on January 1st of this year, the Theotokos, right? Feast of Mary, the Mother of God. And since then, I've lost over 100 pounds. I'm feeling great. I haven't felt this good since college, quite frankly. I clothes now. I had to get rid of 70% of my clothes, and
wow,
my suits the suits that I kept I had to get retailored, and things like that. So that's a very good place to be because and here's the bottom line, Lisa Marie. I realized that I have an obligation to be as healthy as possible to continue to do the work that God has called me to do. That's the bottom line. I mean, God has given me an ability to be able to speak and travel around the world, which I never intended on doing, but that's what he wanted. So I then have an obligation emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically to be able to accomplish the things that God wants to accomplish through me, right? Because I can't be that finely tuned instrument in his hands if a bunch of my strings are broken on the guitar, right? So the physical weight was the last piece I needed to really get myself back into a place of honoring God by the witness of my life. And so that's what I did.
I'm so proud of you because that is
Ah, thank
hard
you.
to do.
It
And
is hard.
with your and you said, I mean, I know I can do it. If I put my mind to it and I start doing what you did and just pray and maybe try to fast, it's not hard. It's hard to do when you don't do it all the time. You have to slowly get into it, you know. But I'm going to really look into it because, you know, like you said, you know, he blessed us for a reason to be able to do these things, and we want to be healthy to continue to do it. And that's one of my questions I was going to ask you. What is the most important part of what you do? And you already answered that.
Yeah, and no, but but you're right though. So yeah, the first month was the hardest.
Yeah.
Because trying to every day saying, oh, this is so stupid. I'm wasting my time. They had like something called the keto flu where you kind of have like colds. You don't have a cold. You're not really sick, but it just feels like, the sniffling and then the hunger pangs. It's just like, this is dumb. Just go back. Forget about this whole thing. No, just one more day. Just one more day. Just one more day. Yeah, exactly. It's Satan trying to get in your head, right? But once I was able to get past 3 weeks and I noticed that like, oh, I could walk a mile without my back hurting now. That because that first mile was like, oh, my back is killing me, my feet are killing me. But now I could do 7 miles easy, no problem. But once you just one step, and know along the way, look at Jesus, Lisa Marie. Jesus fell under the weight of the cross and he got up and he kept going forward. Right? It's the same thing. If we fall, we got to get up and keep moving forward. And when we do fall, that's why we have people like you, talented musicians and artists who write songs who, when we're down, they lift us up and help us to keep moving forward.
Thank you so much. You're always so good to me. I appreciate that. And I hope everybody out there that's listening to this, if you really need to hear what he just said, anything he said, everything he says really means a lot, means something. And so I'm hoping that he touched someone today who really needed to hear something that he's talked about. And I just want to just let everybody know where they could find you, your website. You're still doing shows on EWTN, right?
Yes, I do a daily radio show called Beacon of Truth, and that's actually we stream that live to YouTube and Facebook. So if you go to my YouTube channel, or if you just go to EWTN podcast channel, you can listen to the podcast, or you can watch the podcasts that are archived on YouTube as well. And we have to get you on, Lisa.
Yeah, anytime. Let me know anytime. I know you had me on your show. Oh God, I don't remember how many years. I think it was during COVID. You had
that was that was before the CWTN show. That was a show called Living Stones.
Yeah, Living Stones. That's right.
Yeah, we had you on there, but we got to get you on the EWTN.
Oh, I would love to be on that. Just let me know anytime. I mean, the sooner the better. Just get in touch with me and we'll hook it up. Is it like this? Is it live like this?
It's live.
Is it?
It's live all around the world. Millions of people are listening. We get tons of calls. A lot of times we get tons of calls. And so, would love to have you on. So
yeah, I would love to be. That would be a blessing. So I just want to thank you so much again, my brother. I love you so much. Thank you so much for everything you do for everyone around the world, for God, for your family, for, everybody in the Catholic faith and not even in the Catholic faith. I mean, there might be a lot of people who are looking to join the Catholic faith. And there's a lot of people on here that are of different denominations. And they, I'm just hoping that they heard the truth. I know you speak the truth about everything. So I just want to thank you again. It's been 2 years since you were on here. And, my anniversary is coming up with this show in October. So I've been so blessed to be able to do this. And this has been a blessing tonight to have you back on again. This was a great show, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to say thank you to you, Lisa Marie, for your friendship over the years and your encouragement. You and that amazing husband of yours, Brian, man. You guys are the best. So thank you. And please be assured of my prayers for you and your ministry, your music, as you continue to lift people up in the Word of God. So thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you. And I will be getting in touch with you again, and we'll keep in touch. Yeah. And just let me know when you want me to be on the show. No problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, my producer will reach out to you.
Okay. Sounds good. God bless you. Have a good
All right,
night.
God bless. Thank you. You too.
Wow, everybody. That was a great show, wasn't it? I hope you guys really enjoyed it. He's always has been a great guest on all the shows he's on. And you guys got to check out his show. Like he said, I'm going to post the links and everything of where you can find him. Follow him on Facebook. He's on Facebook also, and he's on YouTube. And you could just look him up. He's everywhere. I want to tell you guys real quick. Let me get this up here. The two dogs that I'm going to be spotlighting tonight for Open Hands Animal Rescue this is Smiley again, and he is a male. He's a 5-year-old, friendly but timid Rottweiler, never lived in a home. Amazing boy. He needs a patient person who's going to work with him and teach him how to be a dog. This dog needs to be adopted. He is wonderful. And from Jessica, that runs Open Hands Animal Rescue, she's posting pictures of this dog on Facebook every day, and I wish I can adopt him. If you're interested in him, just go to openhandsanimalrescue.org. You could donate to them at any time, like I always say. They really could use the money. They just got a Rottweiler, and I think it was 7 or 9 puppies that they rescued, and they're going to be up for adoption. I think she said about 3 months. They have to be vetted. But here's the other one. This is, look at her. Isn't she adorable? This is a pocket Rottie. She's less than 70 pounds. She's about 5 years old. She needs a home with a fenced yard, no small dogs or small kids. She needs to do a meet and greet so you get to meet her. She's located in Hawthorne, Florida, but Open Hands Animal Rescue is the contact to who you go through. Her name's Bella. She's a beautiful little girl. And if you can help them out financially somehow, you can go to openhandsanimalrescue.org. Like I said, they accept Zelle, PayPal, and you can also follow their Facebook page and see what they're doing and everything that they do. They're a great organization. I'm so blessed to be involved with them and to help them. And my Maggie May came from them, my little boxer, my little pocket boxer. So I just want to thank you guys again for the support, for watching this show. I'm so blessed to be able to do this for you. And my Rockin' for God 2-year anniversary is coming up. Now, next week, I have an incredible guest coming on. His name is Edward Joza. He was a pilot that died. He's Catholic. He died and he came back to life to speak about it. This show is going to be incredible. He is in one of the books that I am in by Ann DeSantis, who will be a guest after that. She's a Catholic author and a speaker. She will be on. This, you have to watch. This is going to be an hour show with no interruptions. I am going to ask him 1 or 2 questions, and he's going to tell his story. It is the most incredible story that I have ever heard of somebody, what they went through that died and actually saw heaven and hell at the same time. This person has an incredible story. You have to watch. You have to see this show. It's on next week. That's the 14th, isn't it? Yeah, the 14th, 6 p.m. right here. Edward Joza, it's an incredible transformation of what happens when you have God in your life and you accept God in your life. And this guy's entire life changed. So just please watch this show. On the 21st, I will have author Ann DeSantis on. She has a podcast called Journey in Faith. I am in this book. She asked me if I would be in this book. She put my biography, my story in here. So I'm so blessed. So I'm going to have her on my show because I was on her show. So that's on the 21st. On the 24th and the 29th, John Benko for the Four Persons will be in Fatima and Lourdes live. I got an unbelievable September of people coming on. And he will be in Lourdes and Fatima live. He'll be walking around. He's going to be talking. He's going to be right there live with everything, in the whole area. So I just can't wait to see that. That's going to be incredible. And then that's going to be the end of September. And then my Rocket for God 2-year anniversary will be on in October. And then we'll discuss that later on. So thank you guys so much again. Enjoy the rest of your week. Don't forget, next Saturday, 6 p.m. right here for the next show for Edward Sosa. God bless you. Thank you for everything. Have a good night.